we use 90% of unconscious during the day and only 10% is when you sit in a room with a person in a white coat and glasses on and certificates on the wall, and you put them up on that pedestal and they turn to you and say, hey, you have this disorder. Unfortunately, you have depression disorder. It's not, they don't sit you and go, hey, at the moment you have these symptoms of depression, but we can move through them. They don't give you that hope.
And they don't even do this. What's going on in your life?
Exactly.
What exercise are you doing? I literally came out of that session and was like, holy fuck, you're not going back to the mines. The world needs to know this. I had never experienced anything in my life that gave me an instant release. Like I truly felt like that emotional, sick, heavy pain that was in my body flew out through my fingertips. And it was the moment my life truly changed, and my life has never been the same since because of breathwork. And so now I had the holy fuck, the world needs to know this, because I've been in pain majority of my whole life. And I have done everything, gone to every psychotherapy, I've done every self-development course that ever came out. I've done Landmark Forum, I've done Reiki, I've done kinesiology, I've done rites of passage, I've done it all. And so when I finally had this, it's like, okay, fuck it. Like, I don't know how we're making this work, but it is our job now to help as many people as possible, because my motto in life is to see the world emotionally pain-free.
That's right. Trauma's ending too much too fast.
100%.
Success, which happened to me, too much too fast, was traumatic, overwhelming. I had a lot of anxiety, imposter syndrome. What is up, crew, and welcome to another episode of Spill the Tea with Beau and Kirsty. That's Beau and Kirsty, not Kirsty and Beau.
It's definitely Kirsty and Beau.
This is...
Let's ask the audience. Let's ask the fucking audience. It's Kirsty and Beau.
It's
for
Beau
sure.
and Kirsty. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
But this is episode 4, I believe, and this is called Believe in Your Breath. Let's go, Kirst.
All right, bozo. How the hell did Believe in Your Breath even come about? Let's start from the beginning.
Well, this is a story, guys, so buckle up, put your headphones in.
Get ready.
Get ready. So, believe in your breath. It's a question I get a lot. How did I get into breathwork? How did I start this business? How did we end up where we are today, living in Bali, traveling the world with our work? We got a renowned online program. Well, obviously we were together and I was having issues with my mental health and with my triggers and with my past, and I was like, all right, I'll just go to a psychologist, right? Because they fix you and that'll deal with all my issues. And, I was taking accountability that I need some help, which is the first step. We all know that. And I went there and I basically overshared and trauma dumped for about an hour, and then I left and I was like, okay, cool. And she didn't say anything back, and I was like,
I'm feeling light. I feel
yeah.
good. We're doing well.
I was feeling like accomplished that I'd done like therapy. I mean, growing up with ADHD, diagnosed at 2, I was always in psych's offices and stuff, but it was different. I was there with my mum, and it wasn't like it was about me or my personal life. It was just about my behavior. So that was different. But to sit down in front of like a psychologist and explain like what's going on with me and my, with my ex and my anger and my mental health, like personally, and all the stuff that I've been going through. Yeah, it felt different. And they sent me an email the next day saying, hey, we're not the right fit. You'll have to find someone else. And I laughed that off because that was my coping mechanism. It was too much for the psychologist. She couldn't handle me.
Yeah.
And, it took a few years and a lot of work on myself to realize that fucking hurt.
Well, I actually said to you, and we were somewhere. We were away on holiday somewhere. Because I remember when you got the email.
Oh, yeah, we were. We're like in Margaret River or something.
Yeah, we were somewhere.
And I was like, you
got the email and you're like, right. This is hilarious. Like, I just got dumped. And I was like, that's really not okay, because imagine if I wasn't here right now. Imagine if you were actually... That was like you were suicidal. That was your last straw, and you tried and you reached out, and then bang, you got dumped. Like, so you laughed as your normal
coping mechanism,
what you do in all of your life.
And everyone does. Everyone laughs when it's awkward or when it's weird or like.
Well, some people, and that is your coping mechanism. Yeah. And you've always been like the class clown type person, you know. So it
I
was
always try to
hurtful.
turn something into funny, right? Like when we're
Yeah.
having a serious conversation, I'm like, oh, and this. And then
Yeah.
that's like my diversion to
That's
try and
exactly
get out
right.
of this. Like, okay, I don't want to
Or
talk about
this
this
is a
serious
bit, this is
shit.
feeling a bit hot water type shit.
Yeah,
right now.
I
want out.
let's laugh it off and go into something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, and you're right. Like, you know, thinking about that later on, I was like, well, what if someone was suicidal and that was their like, I'm gonna finally reach out and get some help, and then they get dumped, and
By
they
the
just
one person where we are born and programmed to believe that it's a doctor, it's a person who's done, you know, a big qualification that is going to help us. And then if we're going to get dumped and thrown off by those type of people, then who the fuck could possibly help us then?
And this is exactly why, and I get a little bit emotional talking about this, and goosebumps as well. But this is why it's so important to raise your kids with self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, as parents, like, you're gonna send your kids out into this bad world, and we bubble wrap our kids, and we can't always protect them.
Yeah.
And in situations like that, when they turn to drugs and alcohol, or, you know, there's bullying at school and there's shit on social media, and they could be led in all these different ways, I think it's a really important it's important to know how to boost a child's confidence and give them those soul key tools of, like, you know, taking a breath and walking away, or knowing their worth, or not letting the external, you know,
100%.
beat them down.
Yeah.
So
Navigate those emotions.
exactly,
you know,
navigate and regulate their
regulate.
emotions and
Yeah.
nervous system, because when you know, it doesn't matter what sort of parenting you do, when you send your kids out into the world, they're going to turn to what they know, and if they don't know what they know, they're going to sink.
That's it. And you just hope that you've built a strong enough foundation
For them to come
for
back.
them to come back to, you know. And that's, you know, as a mom, like I've got a 19-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 3-year-old, you know. I definitely parented very different with my 19-year-old to, you know, Harvey.
Well, you were a different
you know, as a
person.
very different person, you know, like I was growing up with a child, you know. And so, but you know, I have always taught my kids, like, you know, to break them out of a tantrum, I'd be like, okay, smile for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, Mom, like, this is ridiculous. Like, I was like, just smile. And, like, you know, my kids just say, you know, it's impossible to say angry. You know, so
Yeah.
I've been learning, and I've been doing this stuff for many, many years. Like, you know, like I said, Carson's 19 now. So you're absolutely right. And that's why, you know, breathwork is such a paramount tool. And I truly believe that every single person should experience and use breathwork as a way for kids and adults to regulate and release.
That's exactly right. And for me, like, my tool was medication.
Yes.
I didn't have anything else,
Yeah.
right? It was like, you're misbehaving, you have to take meds. Like,
Yeah.
there was no tools, there was no knowledge, there was no guidance. It was just, I was a naughty kid, I was out of control, taking meds. That's what is going to fix you. There was no
100%.
like internal work.
Yeah.
So
All right. So you got the rejection.
yeah, and then
Then what happened?
and then I was like, all right, whatever. And then I still knew, I kind of like threw it under the rug for a bit, as you do. You feel a bit better, you know, your relationship's not too bad, so you just,
You're like,
well,
well, I made effort. You were thinking,
Yeah.
I made effort.
I made the effort,
tried,
so it
and
means
I went
something.
to one, then I got cancelled. So, you know, like, what the fuck am I
And
really
it
meant to do?
also puts a bad taste in your mouth. Like, I'm not here to bag out psychology at all. Everyone does it differently and whatever, and it
And
helps
also, there's
people.
millions of different therapists, just like there's
Oh,
millions of different breath workers.
Exactly right.
And you may have a great experience with us, and you might not have a great experience with someone else, or vice versa. They
Vice
might
versa,
be
yeah.
like, "Oi, we
We're
didn't
not
like
for everyone,
Bowen
and
Kirsty."
everyone's not for
And that's
us.
fine too. And that's why, like, you know, we're constantly like, hey, check out and see a variety of different modalities and people, because we all facilitate differently, and we all have our beautiful gifts.
And that goes down to personality too, right? Like, when you
100%.
put yourself out there on social media, 10 people are going to love you and 10 people are going to hate you.
Yeah,
And
like,
then-
we swear and we're
Yeah.
out there, and that's okay. And then some people love that and feel connected, and some people are like, that's fucking disgusting, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
And you
that's
and
so
you can't
fine.
win them all, so you might as well just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
Be authentic, that
Yeah.
word you hate, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and for me, I'm like, all right, whatever. And it's a bit off-putting, right? Why would I go back and sit back in a room and talk to someone about some deep shit that I've never even told my mates about when I was treated like that? So it closed the door for me as well.
Yeah.
But where doors closed, others open, and you know, months went by, and we met some other friends, and they were doing breath work with some like people.
And at that time, We never heard of breathwork.
Oh no,
I'd
I was
never
like,
heard of it, didn't know what it was, and I still didn't.
I followed some people through a mate, and they were good friends, and like these people were doing breathwork, celebrities and stuff like that, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And they weren't normal breathworkers, you know, they had tattoos and stuff like that. So I was like, well, resonate there,
not too spiritual, not too woo woo,
yeah,
not too crazy. Like, you know, it was like you felt aligned.
yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what we talk about, right? Because like the modern person who sits at a computer desk or loves to have a beer or you know, lives a modern sort of lifestyle, they look at some people who do breath work and they go, that's too woo woo. There's like candles and crystals and I'm into some of that stuff, but like, you know, there is a level where it's like, you know, people are going to go, this is too weird.
Yeah, and it is confronting. Like breathwork,
it is.
Breathwork alone is, even though that we're covered in tattoos doing breathwork, it is still confronting.
Some people look at us and go, what the fuck are these weirdos doing?
It fucking is weird. Like, you know, it's sometimes like, wow.
But I think what's cool is now you've got all these people like Joe Rogan and Andrew Huberman and all these sort of like people.
Even Tony Robbins.
Gary Brecker, Tony Robbins. I think even Gary V would have talked about breathwork at some point. And the science backing it is what's super important. So like you can sit there and talk about the moons and energy and that all you want, but people want proof. People want to see what's happening to the blood and the chemicals in the body and the brain chemistry and the frequency in the brain levels changing on graphs and charts and blood samples.
100%.
So a lot of that's happening. So for me, that was like, I wasn't into all that yet, but I was just like, all right, I'll go do it. These guys are super cool. Looked up to them. Followed them religiously and did one of their breathwork practices online. I felt fucking amazing.
And that's the thing, breathwork is a feeling. And I truly believe if every single person does breathwork, just tries doing a technique, you 100%, no matter what, will feel different. You feel calmer, you know?
Right.
And you know, like, you know, if you're having a big day and you're like, that sigh, you feel a little bit calmer for a second.
Yeah, and the thing is with breathwork, it's you get instant relief. It's like 100%. Taking a Valium, or it's like having a drink of beer or a wine.
And our body.
Yeah, and it's like automatic. And then also once you know the science behind it, you kind of know when you're taking those deep breaths, you're regenerating your cells, detoxifying the body, boosting your immune system, like circulating your blood. They're things that you don't actually feel happening, but when you're breathing, you know. Yeah. So I went along to a workshop. It was absolutely crazy, life-changing, as I said.
What happened?
Went there too. Walked in there, and I think you actually booked it. I think you were like, just go and do it. You know, otherwise I was probably going to hold off and not go, which is what people do with our events. They're like, oh, I was going to come, and then it got closer, and then I was busy, or there was no tickets left.
So and you felt a little bit guilty because we just had Harvey.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, like, you know, you were working away at the mines as well. So fuck, you know, I'm taking a weekend away from you guys. Like, you know, and if anyone listening, how many people feel, especially parents, feel guilty for spending money on themselves to better themselves and time away from their family? And isn't it fucking crazy?
We hear it all the time.
Because we know that you need to fill your fucking cup up first before you can overflow to other people.
If you go out there and do a lot of fucking work on yourself, then your kids are going to get a better version of you.
Yeah, and we know this. We know this, especially with our own stuff. So, let's go back to you walked in.
So I walked in and...
not knowing what to expect.
Not really knowing what to expect. And just on this, like, I grew up with crystals and shit. Like, my auntie she was real spiritual. She always had crystals. She did Reiki on me as a kid, which I loved. You got a crystal every time you did it. You know, so, and I used to meditate as well as a kid.
Okay, so you dabbled a little bit into this.
Yeah, so it wasn't like complete, like foreign, but the breathwork thing was, you know, you hear of breathwork, but I didn't really know anything. So going in there, did like breakthrough breathwork or a breathwork journey or conscious connected breathwork or even holotropic, a form of holotropic breathwork, which is basically at the end of the day, you do like 45 minutes to an hour of conscious connected breathing, which is circulated breathing. So it's in and out constantly, which I know now activates your sympathetic nervous system, brings all the tension, energy out of your body caused from like stress or anxiety, you know, and it does things to the brain. It switches off your frontal cortex or your ego brain and gives you access to more of your unconscious mind. So, you know, parts of the brain like the limbic system and the amygdala. The amygdala is your watchtower that's constantly looking for threats. So it fires that, and then your limbic system is memories and emotions, and other parts of the brain that therefore, everything that we suppress can come forward. So for people who see our videos of people like crying and screaming, that's exactly what's happening.
Crazy to thinking that you haven't taken a drug and you've done this with your own breath.
Well, you're releasing DMT, dimethyltryptamine, naturally into the brain through the pineal
You must
gland.
have a little bit of a science nerd, eh?
Or the third eye. Yeah. And that's supposed to give you like this effect of like, having a couple of beers or whatever, and then you can like go deeper and with playing the correct music and things like that, and
bring it up.
body work and stuff like that.
I always
as well
used to
can
say
help.
that when I do breathwork, it felt like taking ecstasy, MDMA. Not that I'm a big MDMA taker, and I haven't taken for many years because if you know Beau hates drugs, but it is like the climb, like the first 10 minutes is the hardest.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't really know what's going on, and then boom, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this fucking this is like hit me. It's like a hit. And you're like, whoa, this fucking feels insane, So I reckon that I always try to say like breathwork is like a MDMA pill going out on a party.
Well, when I did mushrooms at that time, I said it felt exactly like a really long breathwork journey, crying, laughing, realizations, thinking about things that I wouldn't normally think about consciously on a day-to-day basis, because we use 90% of unconscious during the day and only 10%. It's pretty scary to think that we are programmed to a default setting to how we walk, what food we choose, the way we judge people, the decisions we're making all day unconsciously throughout the day is only, consciously 10%. Like we're 10% real and 90% a robot. That's why I say if you're consciously making 10% decisions throughout the day, make sure they're good ones, because 90% of it's robotic.
And that's why you got to do that internal
That's why you got to do the internal work, because when you're triggered, because when you choose poor rather than rich, when you choose sad rather than happy, like that's your internal.
And they're all choices, guys. They're all fucking choices.
That's right. And I've always said, people think like, oh, they're only 2 or they're only 1 or they're only baby. They don't know. Like they are the most important years that those default settings are getting programmed. The way you see the world, the way you feel about yourself is all within the first few years.
How you feel safe.
And what makes you feel safe, and we turn to our parents, and if they're drinking on drugs or alcohol or fighting or violent,
we look for their reactions, like how they respond to certain situations.
So that's what I say to parents, like the first 2 years, the way you treat that baby is the way they're going to be as a human being, as an adult. 100%.
That's it. 100%. All right, let's dive it back. This is to ADHD people trying to do a podcast here.
I think this stuff's important.
Yeah.
Though.
So you jump into the event. All right. What happens?
So jump into the event. Amazing experience. Left.
What happened? Why did you go there? No. You're skipping parts. Why'd you go there for?
I went to there to forgive my ex.
Yep.
And fucking the hate for her, the hate for women, the hate for my victim. I was a victim mindset. I thought the world was against me and I hated everybody else. So it was like all this projection. And I loved you and I loved what we had and I didn't want to fuck that up. So that was my drive, to go there and just be like, okay, I'll release or whatever and let go. And then it was like life-changing. So I wrote down on this piece of paper that I forgive myself. It had nothing to do with my ex. It was internal. It was all like childhood.
What a powerful realization.
Yeah, and I was like, that moment I walked out and I was like, everything is in my control. I used ADHD as a cop-out for shit behavior my whole entire life. Oh, well, I got ADHD. And that's unconscious too. Like, I would just literally just do. And in my online program, literally yesterday, we had a fucking amazing session with everyone that showed up. And we were talking about how people are like, oh, I'm this, or I'm this label, or I'm that. And I'm like, yeah, but by you saying that out loud, your unconscious brain is constantly making decisions based on your thoughts that you believe that that's what you are.
Your language is creating your future.
Exactly. And your thought system is that's who you are and that's how you should act. That's like when someone comes to me with anxiety, depression, they're like, I have anxiety. I'm like, you don't have that. And they're like, yes, I do. I'm prescribed for it.
And then they get angry.
They get angry like they're like, I have it. I have it. I say, hey, I'm not calling you a lie. I'm not saying you have it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you don't experience those symptoms.
Yeah.
They're real.
Yeah.
But you don't have it. You don't own that symptom. You don't own anxiety. Anxiety is just a whole bunch of systematic symptoms that happen to you because of problematic actions that happen to you or it's happening internally, whether it's your diet creating it or your external or childhood trauma.
Or things that you haven't processed or you haven't done.
Suppressed emotions,
like
stress.
And it's just, it baffles me that, when we do say like, you don't have depression, don't own that label.
Well, you can have it if you want it.
Yeah. And I'm like, and people get angry and I'm like,
They get defensive. Like,
why do you want to hold on to that? Is that because they're so used to using that as a cop-out excuse? Because I used to have depression.
It's victim mentality.
100%.
I'm a victim. I'm a victim, and I'm suffering because
and then
I have
fall
this.
to my needs. And, and from personal experience, when I was younger, when I was diagnosed with depression from a very young age, my family had to walk on eggshells. Oh my God, don't say that because Kirsty has depression. Do that. And I was able to manipulate.
That's a form of narcissism.
100%. And isn't it crazy? Like, obviously, like, I was depressed, but I had, again, circumstances that were going on in my life that created the depression. So, and that's why they say things like, before you diagnose yourself with depression, check your environment. And it's so fucking true. Well, because, even us moving from Australia into Bali, how much different do we feel? Yeah. Our anxiety is pretty much non-existent. And I truly
still get stress and you got to deal with that with breathwork. And
stress is not anxiety. And when I lived in Australia, I felt constantly anxious. And I truly believe it's the environment we're in, the fast pace, the urgency, the rudeness, and the energy. Like, I truly believe, and I say this to everyone, Bali is a feeling.
Yeah.
It's not a place, it's a feeling.
Yeah.
And everything's blessed here. You wake up in the morning, everyone's blessing the roads that you walk on. Like, everywhere you go, there's blessings. So
the energy's different, and that's right.
100%.
But going back, I just want to say to some people that are listening, yes, there are some sort of things that can be passed down genetically, mental health, chemical imbalances and stuff like that. And I get it.
No one's not got depression.
I'm not saying you have to move to Bali and clear your fucking anxiety and stuff. It doesn't.
Although it might help.
Of course it's going to help, especially if you're surrounded by toxic people or, your career's too much pressure and you've got childhood shit and suppressed stuff you've never worked on. But I just want to say on that, because it's really important that people do turn to us for mental health, is that, when you sit in a room with a person in a white coat and glasses on and certificates on the wall, and you put them up on that pedestal and they turn to you and say, hey, you have this disorder. Unfortunately, you have depression disorder. It's not, they don't sit you and go, hey, at the moment you have these symptoms of depression, but we can move through them. They don't give you that hope.
And they don't even do this. What's going on in your life?
Exactly.
What's going on in life? What exercise are you doing?
What kind of childhood did you have?
Yeah, and
what's been going on in the last 12 months?
100%. What food are you putting into your system?
What diet?
Nobody's asking these questions, and
I comes exercising.
From personal experience. Back when Harvey was born, I went to the doctor. He didn't ask me anything that was going on. I just had a fucking baby. I'd given up my 10-year offshore career. I had to rely on a man, and he never asked me any of these questions whatsoever. I had real life family issues going on at the time. And his thing was, hey, you want to feel like this? You feel like this at the moment. You want to change that? Here's the medication. And it baffled me because I was in a point where I either take this or I'm going to fucking end my life. Like, I was in a really bad place. Felt guilty around that in the first place because I had everything I wanted. Nobody asked me that question. I just had a baby and my third child. Like, no one asks those questions. And that is the issue right now. No one's sitting there going, hey, are you happy? What's going on with you?
No one asks the questions. Like I always say, you see a man flip out or be really angry and everyone goes, what a piece of shit. Hey bro, like, what's going on, man? Like, how are you? And they usually break down. And
100%.
Like they're like, fucking. And then you go deeper. What happened with you and your dad? What happened with you as a child? Like, there's some sort of abuse or violence or something.
At the end of the day, every single person, I'll say this over and over again, wants to be loved, wants to be connected, heard, seen, and understood.
And I don't care how tough you are, we're human beings. We're pack animals primarily.
We have dealt and worked with the toughest type of men. And when they get into our room and they break down like a little boy crying that just wanted to be hugged by their mum.
Yeah.
How many people do we get that with?
And it makes you go back to like, oh, that's weak, or you want your mummy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we're human beings.
Everyone
we're primal.
wants fucking love.
We're pack animals, and we turn to our sources of creation and love, which is our parents.
Yeah.
For, reassurance, of safety, of
care,
love, of care.
Emotional regulation. When Harvey hurts himself, he's like, mama, because the mum's
and then you give him a hug and tell him to breathe and everything's okay.
And give him a kiss. Like, he'll hurt his like little elbow and he'll be like, kiss. And then I give him a kiss. Mum's kisses always make things better, so that's what life's all about. All right, cool. So you've done.
I just want to say on the mental health thing, because you went on a
Yeah.
tangent on a tangent on a tangent, is that when someone comes to me suicidal, mental health crazy, you know, on drugs and alcohol, in a really fucking bad place, wanting to end their life, fucking can't leave their house, like the worst of the worst sort of stuff. But, you know, obviously you have to look at, like, you need to go see a professional or a doctor, get some
100%.
testing. And a lot of my clients, believe it or not, it's been a thyroid.
Yes.
Thyroid's been off.
Yeah.
Okay.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, and we would talk about that in our class yesterday. Someone was like experiencing some things. They got glandular fever a couple of times,
Yeah.
and someone else in the group, because we did Q&A Wednesdays now, and someone in the group said, check your thyroid. They're like, oh my God. And then like they're talking and they're like on the same things, and they're like, yep, up and down weight gain, blah, 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 thyroid. And I'm like, you know, it's not always that simple, but you can't give up. One of the people in our group yesterday had their thyroid checked 14 times before they actually, because the
Got
doctor
the-
doesn't check levels enough to go, oh, you need medication or you
Yeah,
need
right.
to change something. So that's what I would just want to say as well. Like, you know, when you've got mental health shit going on, sometimes it's not your external, it's your internal. What are you putting into your body? And some levels can be out.
100%.
Gary Brecker talks about it all the time.
And well, what
being
about
deficient
we,
of something.
We had another one in our program. I'm not going to say her name, but she actually has been on anxiety medication for 3 or 4 years, and then finally got the diagnosis that she actually had ADHD, so wrongly medicated. 3 or 4 years. And how many people out there are wrongly medicated or put on medication? Let's see how this affects you.
And I always say, when there's this broad spectrum of ADHD, depression, anxiety, PTSD, right? When you put them, lay them all on the table, they all connect in a way. And those symptoms usually all come down to one or two things, like trauma or, you know, your environment or stress or what you're putting into your body. It's usually an act. We're not born with it.
100%.
We're born with a nervous system to react in fight or flight to help us, but then it self-sabotages us later because we're not processing correctly, we're not eating correctly, we're
There's
not
so
doing
many
anything.
things we could talk about.
The modern world is fucking us up, basically.
Yeah, well,
but
and also, like, you know, we're humans having human experiences.
That's right.
And nobody has taught us ever how to process.
What's the
and
nervous
regulate.
system? The first thing you get taught in school is, hey, this is your nervous system. This is how your blood works. This is how your body works. This is how your parts of your brain work.
The only part of, like, you know, our body stuff I learned in school was penises and vaginas.
Sexual ed.
At 6 ed. I'm not joking. Like, I don't remember learning anything about nervous system.
And even in young kids, you know, when they're crying or stressed out, you say, hey, that's your nervous system. It's trying to protect you right now. That's why you got these big emotions. Let them process, let them feel. Like simple fucking shit like that to help kids understand.
100%. And you know what? Having Harvey, like, obviously I've got 3 kids, my 2 older ones, and, you know, now I'm in this line of work and I really watch Harvey when he has a tantrum, and you watch him cry, kick and scream, process, and then laugh 10 minutes later. And I was like...
Because he's moved through that emotion.
He's moved through it.
And you see it in a breathwork journey. You see laughing, crying, anger, and then you see people laughing through the breathwork journey because they pass through the emotion.
And stuff like that. And it's crazy because it's taken me to have Harvey to really, you know, double in and have a look what is actually happening and actually physically see the nervous system doing its thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck me, if we could just take what the kids are doing, what they're naturally born to do, and we just kept adults being in the shop, having a tantrum, whatever, processing, and then,
or watch animals, right? As I always say.
Yeah. And the lion meets the gazelle.
And then the gazelle, after a stressful encounter with a predator, will go and shake and deep breathe and then go back to instantly mating and eating and fucking living a normal life, where human beings go through like a stressful experience, completely suppress it all, go to drugs and alcohol to numb it all, or pleasure seeking like sex, buying your food, pleasure eating, all that sort of stuff, ignoring all the processing, and then it gets stuck in the body like vessel.
And then people wonder why they go up and down, go good for a little bit, bang, fucking back to normal or back to the same cycle. We go in cycles all the time. People like, you know, I'm good for a little bit, then I go back, because you never
go back to your default setting because
settings,
it's stuck.
And then everyone gets so upset about the word triggered. Like, I'm like, fucking triggering is great.
It means you got work to do.
What you've got work to do on. You don't know what you don't know.
And the thing is, when people get triggered, they contract. They go, okay, I'm not going to go in that direction anymore. You need to explore that, obviously, safely. But like if something is triggering you, you need to be like, why? And explore it in your self-awareness.
Surely you want a better life. Surely you don't want to feel that way.
If you come to these doors of trigger, then you just stay in one room.
100%.
So you need to be able to move through those triggers.
And most of the times, once we've gone through the door, that little scary, unfamiliar door, we go, oh my God, it wasn't that bad.
And no, it wasn't. And we have to let
Thanks.
the body feel that uncomfortable stuff. So
100%.
just back to
So
people
many
that reach
gaps.
out, I know, but just back to the people that reach out to me, anxious, depressed, suicidal, the worst of the worst clients. Obviously, when I started Believe in Your Breath, which we're going into, I felt like a massive responsibility that I had to help these people. And, you know, I came to a point where I was like getting trauma dumped on, and we went viral and stuff, which I'm going to get to. But, you know, that isn't our responsibility, and we're not trained to help people like that. And my thing is this: when someone comes to me in that sort of situation, I will do one thing. I will say, here's a breathing technique, day and night, sit in it. Get off your phone. Change your diet. Add exercise into your life.
Yeah.
Remove toxic, negative people. Ground, bare feet in the ground. Get to the beach every day. Get sunlight on the body. Up your water. You know, start listening to positive music and positive podcasts. Surround yourself with people who actually love you unconditionally and would clap when you succeed. There's like 10 things, right?
Yeah.
Do that every day for the next 2 weeks, then call me.
100%.
If you do that and you do for the next 2 weeks, I will work with you.
Yeah.
Now,
so basically what you're saying is to go back to basics.
Yeah, and if
Strip
those
yourself back.
yeah, if those people in those really bad mindsets, 99% of the time, 99% of the time, in 3 days they ring me and they go, "Holy shit, whole life's changed. I'm totally different." And I'm like,
I'm feeling different. I'm feeling a little bit more motivated.
I'm like,
I'm not so sluggish. I'm not.
You don't even need me now. You didn't have to work with me. But you know, and
that's another reason why we never ever say that we're a healer. You're your own healer.
You're your own, and I'm like, I can't
hate
stand being called a healer.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
like,
not a
you know,
healer.
you expect this person. I'm going to put my hands on you.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna save your life. You're gonna save your own fucking life. We're just giving you the tools. We're giving you knowledge. We're giving you education. And we're giving you skills to take control of your own life.
I'm not saying that there's not healers out there, and anyone who calls themselves a healer is like a
but
fraud or
us,
anything like that.
for
But
us,
I'm saying,
that's
yeah,
not us.
Me, I don't like being called a healer because you come to me, I give you the tools, the knowledge, the guidance, the love, and the support to get you where you need to go.
100%.
You do the fucking work.
If
you think you're coming to me and I'm gonna heal you, you're fucking.
And
coming
we get
to
all
me
the time, we're like, you changed my life. We're like, no, you changed your own life.
And I'm happy to receive that love and that gratification of helping people. I love
being a part of people's journeys.
That's exactly. I love watching people change.
100%. I love being part of people's chapters of that part of their life. I love that. But you changed your own life. We just held your hand. And sometimes humans just need to have their hand held and say, hey, just walk this way here. And we give you some stuff.
I like to call it butt kicking. They need a kick in the butt. And that's what we do in our programs. You know, you're not showing up, you're lacking on your fucking daily stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'll knock on your fucking door and kick you in the ass.
100%.
Because you're like the manifestation queen and I'm the ass kicker. I'm like, oi, if you don't show up, you're not going to get fucking results. You join our 12-month program and think things are going to change? Fucking no.
100%. Like, we've got $1,000 challenge in our program at the moment. I'm like.
And I see people doing it, I see people not doing it. And I'm like,
do you want it? To people,
how much do you want it?
Do you want to be a millionaire or do you not? Because if you want to be a millionaire, everyone can be.
You got to do millionaire shit.
You've got to do millionaire shit. You've got to move differently. You've got to think differently. You've got to do things differently. And it's going to be fucking uncomfortable. And unless you're prepared to do the uncomfortable shit, you are going to be in the same position. So we see some people doing the work and then others aren't. So I say, don't come to me when you're still broke because you had a choice.
I literally had this conversation in our Wednesday Zoom session yesterday in our online program.
We are hard because we do get results, and this is the reason why we get results fast.
That's right. And I said, I said to people, like, a lot of the time I get divorced men come to me and going, oh, my life's in shambles. I'm about to lose my kids and my wife. I get it all the time. And I'm like, all right, I know exactly what we need to do here. Have a little conversation, and then we work out what you need and what's going on. And usually, unfortunately, for the men listening, listen to this because the women are going to agree. When a woman wants to leave a relationship, she checked out 12 months ago, bro.
Easy.
You know, and that's the thing. Emotionally,
and also, can I just
she's
say
disconnected. This? She stayed for the kids because it was easy.
But can I also say
because she didn't want to hurt you.
She told you. She said
there will be signs.
No, she did. They're not signs. I can almost guarantee that she told you she was unhappy. You know, you see her as this cranky woman that maybe you came home from work and she was constantly cranky, but she was the person that tried to tell you multiple times that she was stressed, she was unhappy, that she felt like she was doing everything on her own, that she felt unsupported. And most of the time it comes down to emotionally unsupported by the male. And she told you. And then, and I've seen this multiple times, and my family members are also victim to this as well.
Yeah.
It happens. The woman leaves. And they go, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
You fucking did. You seen it coming. She told you.
Yeah. So, and I've been in that situation as well
Yes.
as a stupid man sometimes.
Not a stupid man, just learning.
Yeah, it's just learning.
But
But the thing is, what happens here is the man goes, I want to change. And I'm like, all right. And they're like, and then when you find out their motivation, I'm going to prove to her that I'm the man she can be. I'm going to prove to her, I said, but bro, so you're telling me you're going to get up at 6 a.m., you're going to breathe, you're going to journal, you're going to ground, you're going to connect, you're going to fucking do affirmations, you're going to do everything me and Kirsty tell you to do. Yep, for her.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And what out if you find out she's with someone else, then what happens?
Fuck her. That's going to be like, that'll be.
Yeah, but then what happens to your motivation?
100%.
Fuck, I did this for you.
Yeah.
I was fucking getting up. I was doing all this shit. So then you go and drink. Then you go and have sex. Then you go and party. And then you ruin your life. So when someone like that, man or woman, comes to me and I'm finding out your motivation and your drive, even if it's for your children. If you're coming to me to be a better mum, a better dad, no, get the fuck out and come back in with, we need to get you on par with, I'm here to better my life. Yeah. For me. It's all about being selfish, because once it's for internal and you love yourself enough to show up, discipline is self-love. Motivation is got to be for yourself. And like you said, I always say, you can be motivated to go to the gym, motivated to do this, but when the motivation lacks, what happens? Your discipline will overwrite that motivation and get you into the gym and get you doing the things and
like
get
your
you
non-negotiables. That's why you have to, in our program, non-negotiables every fucking week.
But and then when your discipline lacks, as you say, desire comes in.
Yes, desire.
When your motivation lacks,
what do you desire in life?
What do you desire? Do you desire to be better? Do you desire to be rich? Do you desire to be mentally?
Do you desire to feel fucking happy, or do you desire to be miserable? Your choice.
Exactly.
You all have choices.
100%.
And one thing on that selfish thing, the problem here is from a very, very young age, we're told not to be selfish. Share your toys. As parents,
it's all about everyone else.
Don't just think about yourself. Help out this person. And then as adults, we're sitting there going, people pleasers are obviously in that time being
people
born.
pleasers come from parent pleasers.
100%. And then that happens. But then as an adult, people come to us and hey, be selfish. It is foreign as fuck to be selfish. It feels awful. It feels yuck. It feels like, hey, this is not good. This is rude. This is wrong. And now we're trying to change again default settings, right?
But most parents in the modern society tell you must respect me and don't make me feel like this, and you're driving me crazy, and you're gonna fucking drive me up the wall. So we're constantly telling our kids, we're constantly telling our kids how they make us feel, which is fucking wrong, because then our kids create this inside thing I don't want to make mum upset. I don't want to do this. So that's a form of narcissism as well, because now your child is tiptoeing around you.
Everybody has narcissistic traits. It's just
I'm going to say this right now. I say that's a form of narcissism because it's a form of narcissism, but I hate when someone comes to me and goes, my ex is narcissistic.
I think
all right, cool. What does that mean? What, you heard that word on TikTok? You know what I mean?
100%.
Everyone has narcissistic traits. Like when I talk about symptoms of anxiety and ADHD and stuff, it's not a disorder. They're symptoms that you feel. Yeah. Narcissism is behavioral. Yeah. It's things that we do, and it usually comes from trauma or damaged people. Or
manipulation to get people to do and act a certain way.
And that's right. And when you've got a narcissist and someone goes, he's horrible, he's narcissistic, look at his childhood.
100%.
Look at their childhood. So I always say, we all have fun. We can all be spiteful and narcissistic and do narcissistic things and act in a narcissistic behavior. And that's because we're hurting, and our defense mechanism is...
And we're trying to get back in control.
We're trying to get back into control because we're feeling unsafe and hurt and lost, and we don't know how to do it, especially men.
Another cycle. So let's go back, because this is the perfect example of ADHD symptoms right here that we're
all right. Beau went to Breathwork, left, fucking amazing. Okay, crazy. Why is my life so different? Went home, Google, picked up every single book.
So he came home and he was like, my life is never going to be the same.
Yeah. And shit changed.
And I seen it in his face. I seen it in how he was speaking. And at that time, I was going through some really challenging PTSD stuff, and so here I was seeing this man excited.
So yeah,
changing.
I'm so motivated now. I'm looking up to these people like they're fucking god. Like this breathwork thing's amazing.
You felt amazing. Like I want to make other people feel amazing like that.
I started going to other workshops from other people and just exploring breathwork and doing my own
Doing your
stuff, practice and journaling and fucking feeling good in the mornings, feeling good throughout the day, felt more in control of my behavior, ADHD symptoms gone, anxiety
Started doing
gone.
breathwork every morning.
Yeah,
religiously.
breathwork religiously, showing up for myself, following other breath workers and everything they were doing as well, and being really inspired. Like I said, books and that. I reached out to the people that I did the workshop with. I'm like, where do I go for school? So I researched every single school. I'm like, I want to be a breath worker, and
they gave you like
they gave me the contacts to go and see.
Contacts to get to the school that you chose was from these people that you looked up to.
And I forget what I was going to say there, but it was something along the lines of when a lot of people do the inner work with us, they go, how do I help other people now?
Yeah.
And everyone's got their own magic. Like I work with a lot of men and a lot of people with ADHD and who are going through toxic relationships. You work with a lot of women who have been through DV, and because you help the people that you wanted to be helped a long time ago, right? So, and especially with your own experience, people come to me and go, fuck, I resonate with your story.
Yeah.
How do you fucking help me? So, I wanted to help people that have been through my shit, which is probably totally different to the people I was looking up to. But, so I went and reached out to a breathwork school. It was like super expensive, and like I'm working around
$10,000.
$10,000. I'm working around the mines, didn't really know. And they had these sales
customer service angels.
Yeah, they were fucking ringing me and they're like, it's the divine moment,
divine
timing,
and
then they kept ringing and I was like, all right, fuck it. And then I think what happened was it worked out to be a good deal. It ended up being the next day.
It literally,
we sold your house too.
I sold my house, so I had the money.
We had your house sold, and then so you're like, fuck it, we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you paid for it, joined this thing, and the school was okay. It was like not how I would run the school, but that's my opinion. And
that ended up being a lot of people's opinion. And
it ended up being a lot of people's opinion. There's a lot to say about that school. But I did all the work. I showed up religiously to the things. I did everything they said. Most people from that school came to me and said, I learned more from you than I did from the actual school itself. I already knew everything. I read all the books they're telling us to read. I'd fucking known.
You knew everything that was in the course, but
nervous system.
Obviously you still
I still learned shit, and I still connected with people. I'm not saying I'm better.
And the crazy thing is about that school, like obviously just overhearing some of your stuff, like you had people there that were there to learn the education to become a breath worker, but there were people treating it like therapy sessions, and that should never have happened. Trauma dumping, going into doing these breath work
being
sessions.
Triggered through school because of somebody said something in the class, which is why we run our classes the way we do, because people are there to do their own work, but in the school they should have a separation of like, here's a bunch of people who need to do the work and want to do the work, and then here's the other side of people who are fucking already done a lot of work, or
you're either a school or you're not.
Ready to start a business.
I
was in there with like people who had run yoga retreats for 10 years and shit, and and now they're in rooms with people who are trauma dumping into the group. And we did a meditation, and someone got triggered and said they fucking were suicidal after a meditation. I'm like, this isn't cool. This is making people feel uncomfortable. So look, I really hope they've sorted all that out. I brought it to their attention, but that's not my responsibility.
100%.
So halfway through sort of that course, they said to do one-on-ones and small group sessions. So I started doing one-on-ones, and I recorded them.
With people's permission.
With people's permission, yeah. And they were like really, really fucking powerful sessions. I did a few with my best mate. So these were people that we knew, people that were friends, I just stuff like that, reached out. I was doing it for free or charging a very small amount donation, and people's lives were changing. Like it was insane. And I'm doing this breath work, and I'm seeing people crying and screaming.
And I'd just like to say, like, one of Beau's first clients that he actually had, she now, like, she's done so much work with us. She is now also a breath worker.
Doing amazing things.
She did our retreat. She did our retreat. She's helped at our venues.
She helped out at our events.
She's been on the floor at our events. Her partner's been in there. And this is the thing, like, with us breath workers, we have probably had about 20 or 30 people that has worked with us in our programs who have then become breath workers, who have then been able to come to our events, and then we help get their name out there as well, because this is what we are about, connection and community.
And
you know?
that's like, we'll get into like how we've networked with other breath workers, but yeah, so I'm doing the work, and, and as I said in our stories, in our first podcast, you know, women and men are coming into the home, and I'm doing this breath work, and then
big releases.
Big releases, crying, screaming. You're still not understanding it or in the breath work yet, but then we're still working away at work, so I'm doing it on my break, and I'm like researching what the best appointment thing is, and I'm ringing fucking friends that have hair salons, and I'm like, what do you use for appointment setting? Booking systems, and I'm going through all these lessons, learning what works there, and it was like kind of like what you're doing now with the business, right? You're learning about CRM programs and you know, email marketing, all this stuff. So sales systems. So you know, and then they said, all right, we got to a point where we had to do groups. So I did a group of 9 people in my kitchen, which you helped out with, which you were not wanting to help out with at all. You made cacao. We were drinking cacao and stuff. Ceremony
and I was still not really for it. I didn't know. I was extremely naive. I didn't know anything really about breathwork. I was dealing with my own massive issues, and I was also dealing with, who am I if I'm with a guy that is actually doing the work? So I had a lot of identity shifting going on at that time as well. And I was really upset because he was this man that was working with so many people, changing their lives, and wasn't changing mine. But I wouldn't do breathwork because I was extremely just not for it. Very shut down by that time. And so Beau's like, we're going to do this. And I was obviously trying to be a great partner and support you while dealing with my internal shit. I didn't know where I stood. I was very confused at the stage, but I also didn't want to, you know, throw out your sparkles. So we did 9 people in our kitchen.
And we had, you know, we did 9 people in this space. And I did this 4-hour I did meditation, and I got influence and inspiration from other workshops that I'd been to.
But also like the course you were in, and
and the course I was in, what they were doing, and I was just taking bits and pieces from everyone and adding what I thought. And throughout my one-to-one sessions, I did this. I was away at work doing this breath work, right? And I'm having all this hate and all this anger come through my breath work. I'm sitting on the end of my bed or in the gym, and I'm like, fuck you. Like, I did this little, like, fuck you. And I had some tears, and I'm like, fuck you. Like, I'm good enough. And like, fuck you. How dare you say this about me? Or like, fuck things that weren't going right for me. And like, fuck.
And you had big identity shifts at this time, because you're going from the world that you once knew.
That's right.
Into a new world. You're still in the mines. Your friends now who you used to be with all the time are out there drinking every night after work. You're all of a sudden not drinking after work. You're showing up and going to the gym in the morning. You're doing breath work. People think you're fucking crazy. Like, you are now shedding a skin.
I had a mate say, who I grew up with, like, I was doing breath work at like 3 o'clock in the morning and a meditation, and he said on the comment, he goes, if I seen someone doing that, I'd be like, what crack are they on? And I'm like, it's okay to not understand what I'm doing.
But at that time, you were still trying to understand you.
And then I had a little ego towards it. Like, I'd inbox him and be like, man, do you know the science behind breath work and what's happening with oxygen and parts of your brain and your lungs and your blood and your body? And they don't care.
But you also wanted
they don't give
to
a fuck.
accept probably this new
I
version
probably wanted to be
you
accepted, this new version. So as you said, you know, I was hanging out with bikies, gang members, toxic masculinity. You know, I grew up in, you know, areas where, you know, you're fought and you're drunk and all that sort of stuff. So
that was the cool.
At the moment,
and now you're going to like a new
new world. But so like I'm sort of like jumping the fence at this moment. I felt like, and I will say I've done breath work with a lot of these sort of friends, presidents of bike clubs over East and all that sort of stuff, which I would get into, and that has been like an awesome journey as well, working with those sorts of men and people from my past on that side, like people from school even, or people from, like, we've done a full circle. So we used to hang out, all these bad people, not bad, but people still growing and moving through life, and then we've met again over in this like breathwork world, in a different world.
Which is awesome.
It's quite cool. So did these 9 people, people, I've told my neighbors, people are like crying, screaming on the floor, absolutely crazy.
We've warned the neighbors that, hey,
you're like,
no one's getting murdered.
you're like helping me hold space. I'm like showing you like how we did like a very gentle sort of breath work, but people were still releasing, and we had some amazing people that day that we're still friends with now, who've done a lot of work with us. But we did all this sort of stuff, and then I told the school, and like we had videos and stuff like that, and the school's like, yeah, well done. Like other people were doing groups of like 2 or 3 or still on 1.
Yeah. So right now the school was for you.
The school was for me, and I had to do another 2 sessions, 2 full sessions for our progress, and write it all down and what happened, and or like document it. And then so the second one I did was at a community hall. Never hired a community hall before. Just rang the one down the road and paid the fucking thing, and it was 19 people. My mum came. There was like all these other people. This is just organic from social media, not running ads, not putting flyers out.
Didn't know anything. Just
hey,
we've got this
we got a little speaker and a stick of sage, and we're lighting the stage, and we're blessing people, and you're making cacao, and
so we've upped it a little bit now. We've got fruit platters.
I'm up there in front of 19 people just talking about the nervous system, and very sciencey, which I've changed now because people get bored when I go into very sciencey stuff on the human biology and the biochemistry, breathwork and stuff. People just want to do it. So and then the next one was out in Kalamunda, out in the bush. We hired that. There was 45 people. And I was still working around the mine, so I was coming back and running these events, and I shared it with the school. Everyone was like, "Whoa, 45 people! Like, what the fuck?" And it was like my 3rd or 4th.
And we had people helping us out at those events.
Yeah,
as well.
So we had I know the school taught you that it was like 7-to-1 ratio for people, and we were doing like big releases. So we made sure we had enough qualified other breath workers at our events.
Yeah, we had energy healers,
and I wasn't qualified yet. But I was given permission, and breathwork is a grey area as well. 100%. We know that. It is a very grey area, but we
but you were still under their insurance, because we had insurance with them. So
and I had my own public liability as well, which 100%. I went and got under training. So I actually had my own insurance, and I was like had school training. I was allowed to be doing it. I wasn't doing anything illegal. Yeah. And running events with public liability, in case you just have to have that anyway when you run any sort of events. It's good to be always protected. Yeah. So then I'm sitting on the end of my bed, breath work, 3 o'clock every single morning, breathing, and I'm saying I'm going to do 100 people doing this shit. I'm going to do 100 people. And you're like, I don't know how. And I remember I wanted to do more luxury breathwork. I wanted like nice hotels and I wanted bougie breathwork. I wanted really nice venues. And I ended up ringing you and saying, I'm going to get this Airbnb in Perth. I'm going to do like 50 people in like this mansion. I'm just going to hire this and she's like, where the fuck are we getting this money from? Blah, blah. We weren't aligning. No. You didn't understand it. You didn't know what I was trying to do. You didn't even like the crying and the screaming because you were like, you didn't get it. You didn't understand how it was helping.
Like, when it first was happening, like it was really affecting me. Like
you're also going through your own shit.
My own stuff, but I'm also a big empath. And I
remember you crying. You still now. When we're holding space.
There'll be certain people that will really I'll feel. I do a lot of things, energy cleansing stuff now. I've obviously done so much of my own work. I know so much stuff. But the true key here is I've done a lot of my own work. Back then, I hadn't done too much of my own work, and I wasn't doing breathwork. I was just helping and holding space.
Well, you were doing the cacao.
I was doing the cacao.
You make the best cacao. Shout out to Cacao Collective as well, our beautiful friends from there.
Because Yasmin actually taught me how to do that, and oh my gosh,
you did breathwork with them as well, and I have too.
Yeah, I did breathwork with Yasmin as well.
So Cacao Collective is where we were getting our stuff from, and you were making it, and it tasted so amazing. People were buying it because you made it taste so good.
Yummy. It's all about the honey.
So you were trying to support me, even though you didn't understand it. You're going through your shit.
And I was also running Believe the Label at that time.
Yeah, we had Believe the Label, which we were like we're wearing it at our events, we're wearing it on stage, stuff like that.
Do you want to attract more money into your life? Then this is for you. Are you ready to fuck off procrastination? Then this is for you. You need more sales in your business? This is for you. Do you want to feel more successful and confident? Then this is for you.
Hey, I'm Beau.
Hey, I'm Kirsty Waddingham.
And welcome to Believe in Your Breath,
where we breathe success. If you want to work with us further, you'll want to join We Breathe Success. It is designed to take you from where you are now to where you want to be in 12 months or less.
If you're ready to 10x your life and step into the ultimate version of yourself that you know you can be, then this program's for you. Your transformation awaits. So, moving forward, I'm going to do this tour. I went and hired a graphic designer that you were using with Believe the Label, and I said, can you do me up a poster?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
And in this time while this was going on, I had then done my first breakthrough breathwork session.
That's right, with me.
Yeah. So
you started to believe in it.
So I did my first breakthrough breathwork session, which we've already spoken about.
And you started doing daily breathwork
So
as
go
well.
back to one of our first podcasts if you haven't heard that session. But I literally came out of that session and was like, holy fuck, you're not going back to the mines. The world needs to know this. I had never experienced anything in my life that gave me an instant release. Like I truly felt like that emotional, sick, heavy pain that was in my body flew out through my fingertips. And again, if you haven't listened to one of our first podcasts, please go back and listen to that.
It's a 3-part.
It was a 3-part. Yep. It was the moment my life truly changed, and my life has never been the same since because of breathwork. And so now I had the holy fuck, the world needs to know this, because I've been in pain majority of my whole life. And I have done everything, gone to every psychotherapy. I've done every self-development course that ever came out. I've done Landmark Forum. I've done Reiki. I've done kinesiology. I've done rites of passage. I've done it all. And so when I finally had this, it's like, okay, fuck it. Like, I don't know how we're making this work, but it is our job now to help as many people as possible, because my motto in life is to see the world emotionally pain-free.
That's right.
And I never quite knew how I was going to do that. I've always been in a helping industry. I've either been, and like I said, all of these things that I've all done. I was also a personal trainer. So I believed it, so when Beau came to me with his crazy ideas, because Beau is the jump first, think later. And
Swim in the deep end.
I am the let's fucking get the numbers right, So we kind of made a bit of a thing. You said to me, hey, I'm ready to do an Australian tour. And I'm like, do you honestly think that we're going to get people?
How are we going to afford flights?
How are we going to afford flights and all this kind of stuff? So our thing was, you know what? As long as we get 10 people in each of these places across Australia.
It'll pay for itself.
We'll go.
We'll go.
All
well,
right.
And I said, even if one person shows up, I'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I was about at the time. I was like, I don't care.
You were so passionate.
I just wanted to do it.
You were so.
And I'm like, part of me, this crazy belief manifestation was like going to do it. And the other half was scared as fuck, but I didn't care. But what gave me the motivation to do this was I had these 2 videos.
Yep.
And they were of 2 people that done breathwork with me 1-to-1. Heavy activation, heavy releases, crying, screaming. Some of them are laughing uncontrollably through this. A lot of movement, a lot of shaking, convulsing. And if you guys that are listening really want to learn more about sort of like trapped emotions, suppressed emotions, the somatic work, Peter Levine's Waking the Tiger is really good about somatic healing and how we can move through things in the brain and the body. And Vessel Van Gogh, The Body Keeps Score is an amazing book about.
I read that book before I even knew about breathwork, and it's because a friend of mine at the time had actually told me
book.
to read
understand
that,
who you are, and
what
your body
the fuck is going on. Great book.
And when you understand it, and then you go and do breathwork, when you actually understand your body, then it makes sense to why you're laying on the ground crying and screaming and releasing shit from your childhood or from breakups or from childhood trauma, parents, whatever. But there's a lot of good things that come through as well and level you out and balance in the body. And there's a lot of health and wellness to the breath work as well.
100%. All right. So
I had these
9 people in the kitchen, 45 people.
Yeah, and then I had these 2 videos. Yeah. 2 videos of people crying and screaming. I was really insecure about them. Didn't really want to share them on social media, but I was like, this work's so powerful. And we even did some breath work the other day where we were like, fuck, it's just amazing. Now, after doing breathwork for nearly 3 years, I still, every breathwork session go, how crazy is it that we can breathe and people can go, you can sit someone in front of you, talk therapy and talk about the most deepest, darkest stuff. They might have a tear, they might break down, they might not, they might just talk about it, like numb to it. But when you breathe and lay someone down, everything just comes forth. Yeah. Like I'm talking about full convulsing, shaking, uncontrollable crying.
Amazing.
It's insane. So yeah, anyway, 2 videos. And I was working around the mines. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to put it on TikTok. I'm going to say like, and I
why?
think the caption was
Because there was none of your friends on TikTok.
because none of my friends on TikTok, Instagram or Facebook, I was like, nah, my bikey mates or my friends that I've grown up with or even my family would be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
Yeah, you weirdo.
What the fuck is this shit?
There goes Beau doing some weird shit again.
Yeah, so I'm always got to do something weird, don't I? So I'm like, all right then. I'll put it on TikTok. Don't really use TikTok. Went sort of semi-viral on there, like years ago when it was like Musically or whatever. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I put it up, and I was still living in fear of judgment and fear of failure. So I was like, if someone puts a nasty comment, I'll delete the whole video. Which that was my belief system, right? Just run away from any negativity. So, which I still work through today. I'm aware of some things that happen, and I'm like, So, put this video up. Told you about it, and I said, like, if anyone fucking says anything, I'll delete it. And the caption was, "Time won't heal you," which is really powerful. Time won't heal you, and it's really cool because time doesn't heal.
And it's crazy because we've grown up with time.
You'll get over it.
People literally say time heals everything.
Keep it together. Yeah. All that shit. So
and time,
just get through it. Just get through it.
In time, things will be better.
Yeah. In time, things will be better. So I woke up in the morning, 80,000 followers, TikTok. Hundreds. They found my Instagram, and I'm talking like hundreds of people reaching out for help.
Hundreds and hundreds of messages.
Hundreds, and
saying,
I'm like, holy fuck,
help me.
And then I was away at work, and I was checking my TikTok every 5 minutes, and I'm ringing you, going like,
and I literally was
100,000 views.
I was at Point Perrin stairs during the stairs, and you're like, holy shit, babe! Like, if I hit, was it 1 million views? If I had 1 million views,
I'm gonna quit my job.
I'm gonna quit my job. We're fucking out of here. I'm quitting my job. And I was like, we're having fights at this time because I'm like,
you're like stability and sustainability, and I'm like, I want to chase my dreams.
Yeah,
and
I was
do
like,
this.
And he's like,
you're holding me back.
I'm unhappy, like I want to do my thing. You're holding me back, and I'm like, you are a father. You're meant to be supporting us. And my red flags are going off. Like, yep, fucking knew it. Can't rely on a man. Here we go again. Of
course they are.
You're gonna be a single fucking mom again. So I had a lot of things going on, which if you've listened to my podcast, you'll know my past. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages.
And I'm like on my phone just like trying to reply to all these people, and there's some real negative shit in two different ways here. There's a lot of people trauma dumping on me. I've heard shit that I didn't think happened to humans in real life. I thought it was all part of movies.
And I think this is also a moment in time for you that I think you started to get quite humble, because I think beforehand you were quite naive. Like you knew the world that you were in beforehand, but you were in there in an egotistical way.
That's right.
Now you're sitting here going, how the fuck is someone going through that much stuff?
So I hit the first 1 million followers. The first 1 million views. Now we're up to, I think one of our videos are about to click over 100 million.
Yeah, crazy.
So one's 100 million views, and we've got nearly 700,000 followers on TikTok now. We have we do more of our engagement on sort of Instagram and stuff like that, because it's just, you can't keep up. You can't monetize 20,000 comments on one video. Really, it's crazy. Anyway. And there's a lot of mixture of people not really wanting help or needing help. If they need us, they know where to find us on Instagram message or something. There's ways to get work with us now.
Comments. So these comments were, I think, like I said,
So people were basically all over America. I had NBA players reaching out to me. I had Lad Bible, 5 million followers reach out to me. I've had people all around the world,
podcast, radio people,
seeing my videos, and I'm like, I've only just done this. And
we blew up fast. You blew up fast. You became recognized fast, and to be honest, no one was ready for this. We were not ready for this. I most certainly wasn't. Yeah.
And there was
you were in this world of
not knowing who I was and where I was going, and just trying to find out who I am.
All of a sudden feeling a massive responsibility.
Yeah, that's what was heavy. I'm like, okay, all these people want me, and my sort of messaging was anxiety, depression, trauma. Trauma was a heavy word I just used constantly. Heal your trauma, heal your trauma, heal your trauma, and anxiety, ADHD. So you're attracting that clientele, and people are looking at you as if you can help them.
Like you're God.
I'm God. And I felt a little bit like God at the time, to be honest. And I was just like, I was like up here, and it was like
And the
crazy.
reason why you felt like that is because You knew how powerful this work was.
I knew how it could help people.
You had done the work, so you were like, you knew how
it changed my life. Yes. It changed lives in front of me. It changed your life.
100%. So in that term, like you're like, okay, cool. Like these people need help. I can help them, but this became super heavy for you. So
and it's crazy. It's crazy because right now a lot of people listening to this going, I've seen all this shit and I'm now listening to them and I want to work with them. And now we're actually moving away from that, which we're going to talk about. We're moving into like more away. We're not doing that. We're going to talk about it, but we're moving away from this now because we've been in this and it doesn't really serve us. It's not sort of who we are anymore.
It's not that it doesn't serve us. It's that we're changing our direction. That's all there is to it. But at the end of the day, for you're a fun, lighthearted person.
I'm a go lucky fucking extroverted, funny, class clown, happy, big energy sort of guy. And I found myself having conversations with people like all over America, right? I'm getting messages saying I was kidnapped. I was kidnapped at this age. My mum was shot in front of me. My dad fucking killed my whole family and then me. And then I'm like, I didn't know that this shit would happen. Like the worst of the worst shit that you thought happened in movies had happened to real people. And I'm like, you know, I've got my own trauma and everyone has trauma and childhood trauma. I hate the word trauma. I now say life experience because we all have life experience. People come to me, I don't really have trauma. Then and then I'm like, let's talk. I was bullied at school.
So let's go back to this for a second.
But I just want to say on this is fucking important.
Yeah.
You know, and your parents broke up when you're 7. Fucking traumatic. You know, you were dumped by your girlfriend at 16 and then she went with your mate. Fucking traumatic. The world around you, your life experience creates who you are now and how you 100%. See the world. So, you know, for me, trauma wasn't just, you know, rape and murder and violence and like all these horrible things. Life experiences like trauma is anything too much too fast.
100%.
Success, which happened to me, too much too fast, was traumatic, overwhelming. I had a lot of anxiety, imposter syndrome, didn't really fucking know 100%. What the fuck was going on. So, and I'm looking up to all my peers who turned their back on me, which we'll get into. And for me, I'm like just trying to fucking work out what the fuck is going on because it was all so much so fast. I was all over the internet. I didn't know what the fuck to do.
1 minute you work in the mines, then we had a baby.
It was literally,
and then we blew the fuck up.
It was literally, we're gonna go back to what you're about to say, but I went from 9 people in my kitchen to 170 people, and I was on stage within 3 months, and that upset a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of my peers, a lot of my school was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, and we will get into that, but. Yes, go back to what you were going to say.
Oh, just like, you know, I want to talk about like, you know, at that time, like, you know, you felt a massive sense of responsibility.
It was heavy. It was hard.
It was heavy. It was hard. You also felt like, I've got to help this person.
I'm not a psychologist. You know? I'm not a psychiatrist.
But you felt this urgency that you had to help.
And I knew I could help people, but how I would help someone in America who was living in their car, who had the worst trauma that ever happened to them in their life and they had no money or no resources. And I'm like talking to this person all day, every day. And you're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, man, if I don't talk to this person, they're going to fucking end their life.
Yeah, and I think that's where this is like, you know, everything happened so fast. And also you were thrown into a world that you didn't know about so fast.
Yeah.
You were having so many people reaching out to you, more than you could even keep up with. Like the inbox, you would just get through one inbox, 50 more messages were coming through.
It's heavy too. Like, and I look at psychologists and I have a newfound respect for them. And one thing I think as well is like all these therapists and psychologists and all that, you know, they all must get imposter syndrome at some point. And like what I do hate is like all these like people out there that are therapists or like whatever you do, Kundalini, fucking breathwork, psychologist, psychiatry, doctor, lawyer, whatever you fucking do. And they try and act like this professional. We are real people that help real people. We drink, we shout beers, we do cocktails, we get on there and say we fucked up in business, we lost money, or we didn't get it right. Yeah. And I didn't get it right the whole time doing breath work. And that's all part of learning and how I've become who I've come today.
100%. And life is learning. And the thing is like, you know, even on that.
Life's not about getting it perfect. Life is about learning from your mistakes, 100%. Growing from them, and then fucking teaching other people to follow the right path.
Yeah. And everyone has to go through people like us that we do impact other people. You know, you can thank us for all the fuck ups we've had because we have to go through this, and then we can educate and help other people.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're not upset with our past. We're not upset with the path that we took. But, you know, like at that
there's
time
learning
of our
there.
lives, that breathwork, those breathwork videos that blew up so fast, you didn't know who you were at all. Like all of a sudden you've been ripped from one world trying to you were trying to deal with your own stuff.
I'm still living in fear of judgment and fear of failure at this point, and I'm getting messages like, this guy's a scammer, these are actors. I'm getting religious people coming on there saying that you're doing the devil's work. You're gonna fucking
you're gonna burn in hell.
Like, and I'm like, and all this shit's affecting me. And then you've come to me and put this light on me and going, look at all these people that are reaching out for help. Everyone's like, this work's amazing, well done. I had breath workers messaging me saying, you know, fucking, what are you doing? You're like, this is like, you're doing the wrong thing. And then all these people started talking, and like, you know, I'm getting messages from breathwork schools and people saying like that fucking, they're going to shut me down. What's this thing going on? So like, I'm not only dealing with like all this heaviness of like the world that will need help from me. And then like, I've jumped this fence, right? What I've realized there was spiritual ego, but I've jumped this fence of like bikies and strippers and drugs and alcohol. Not that I used the drugs, but I was around it. I was around it.
And that was your familiar.
Fighting, violence.
That was your normal.
My mates would like to go out and punch fucking the fuck out of other people, which like I don't understand. And I've been involved in fights and all that sort of shit. That's what I knew, right? But I still fight for my friends today. Like that's in me. Like if I see my friend in trouble or someone trying to hurt my family, that's who I am. But I use that wisely now, obviously, and have more control of my ego and things like that. But choosing your battles is what we call that. Yeah. But you know, and now I've jumped this fence where I feel like I was, you know, in the breathwork world where you're going to be loved and respected and guided and supported, and everyone's about love and light. No, breathwork is attacking me on social media, sending me messages, you're fucking this, you're that. And I'm like, am I a bad person? Like, is this jealousy? Is this whatever?
And for me, just on that, for me, watching my partner
it fucked me up.
Being slammed and attacked.
Because I just wanted to be loved and accepted. That's all I wanted.
And you were coming from a good place. Well, like everything you were doing.
People are saying I was one comment we get all the time is I'm exploiting.
But you were coming from a good place. You wanted to help people, and this is the sad thing here is that you never went into this to be an awful person. There's definitely
I'll be honest. There was a sense of like where I got to like this point where I thought I was God, and I was like doing all this like, and I felt powerful, which was
because you were helping other people.
But I was fucking hell, and I felt like I had this superpower, which was breathwork, and I could just heal anybody. And then obviously through many years of me doing work on myself and research and all that sort of stuff, that I completely changed my work and the way we do things. And
anyway, so just back onto that. So when this happened, when these people were saying these things, it was sad for me as your partner to watch you just go downhill.
And I knew I was good at what I did.
You were good at what you did.
I knew I was good at what I
was watching you, you know, like, and I'll be honest, there was that one time when the school was on the phone, and these people that...
So what had happened was, I'm going to say this because this is my story and I'm going to say this. So I after those viral videos happened, we had a massive following. And that's when I was like, we're going to do the tour, because I'm having people Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide. So I had this, and I knew how social media worked, and I knew how to go viral organically then. And I'm like, you know, whatever. And then I'm like, well, let's help Australia. So I said, I want to do this Australian tour. Now, every tour we started to do got bigger. So the biggest one was Perth. That was biggest, like 40, 45. Now, I went around the map as you would drive it. I don't know why. That's just what I did, and I created that poster through our Believer label designer. Then I did Adelaide. We went to Adelaide. It was near 50 people. Nervous as fuck. I was nervous, and people showing up. That was a fucking awesome thing. We left there. We met Pete, who follows us around the country now, doing our videography and photography. That was like 45 people. Then the next one was Melbourne. That was 99 people. And I'm telling you, I sat on the end of my bed for a year straight manifesting that I would have 100 people in front of me. And I was like 99, like one person off. There was 99 people in the room. Next one, Sydney, 100. Mm-hmm. And you were doing all the marketing and everything for Believer Label. And I came to you before this. I skipped a bit, sorry. Oh, were you going to say all this?
No. I was ages ago.
Yeah, and then
Keep
I
going.
said to you, you did all the marketing course, and I said, I want you to run ads for me. And you go, I don't know how to run ads service-based. I do product. Like I work with Jay Wright, he teaches us how to do product-based. So you went to Jay Wright and he's like, no, we just do product or whatever. Can't really remember the exact combo. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then and I was like, well, just do the same thing you're doing with your silly dancing with our stuff on. You sold out our peach-colored hoodies and shorts and do it with this. So you did it, and we started watching people coming in, tickets are sold, ding, ding, ding. We high five. We still high five now when we get a ticket. It's a thing, right? We're like, yes, we know we're going to change someone's life. And then each thing, I only got these small venues through the council, and then they're going up, and I'm like, Kirsty, like my heart's beating every time you said there's a ticket. I'm like, turn it off, turn the ads off, man. Like,
Stop.
I'm ringing a week before these things, fucking cancelling venues and trying to get bigger venues. Impossible. And no one can fit this amount of people on yoga mats, like, indoors with fucking music and where we can be loud, because you got people crying and screaming, and we're going to like libraries and shit, the basketball courts next to the libraries, like, which is all fucking been crazy lessons, getting venues and stuff. Yeah. This is all things we didn't know.
Yeah, this is all learning.
All learnings along the way,
This is
like,
business,
we've,
guys.
We've almost been kicked out of venues because people come in going, what the fuck's going on in this room? We're like, get out. People are healing. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, kids are next door are wondering what the fuck's going on. So, this has all been learning. And then, we eventually got the Gold Coast. We took the whole family with us.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was a really proud moment for us.
Do you know what? I came into you,
and
I said to you, this is the proudest moment of my life. I've actually never felt this proud of myself in this moment, and I felt it. And my family.
Does that make you emotional?
Yeah. And I thought I'd done everything right, and then.
And I just want to say on this, like, we had, I think, about 20 people working with us.
I had 20. It was just 15. 15 qualified breathworkers and therapists working that I hunted for. I went on social media and I'm like, we got this big group of people.
We had an amazing crew.
We know this, and they loved us.
Yeah.
We got them on stage and we're like, promote everything you do for Gold Coast.
Yeah.
We want you guys, if you guys love any of these people, 15 people lined up. It was like half an hour to an hour, let them all speak.
Yeah.
And people coming up to us after and go, why did you let us do that? And I'm like, because I want you guys to win too.
Yeah.
And I want people on the floor to have help. If they didn't like us or resonate with us, then I want you to share your story.
Because our main mission is
and they
to
couldn't
see the
believe it.
world
We tagged
emotionally pain-free. And we didn't care how that would be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And on this, before we get to this next point, you can own a hair salon and not be a hairdresser. You can own a breathwork studio and not be a breathworker. You can own a restaurant and not be a chef.
That's right.
And
we learned that in the business world now. We work with
I've
some of the
known that
top
for many
real
years.
estates in Bali,
Yep.
Are good friends of ours, and they don't have any real estate license.
100%.
They own the company, and when they sell a piece of property, they run it through their business.
100%.
And this world is wrapped up on this. You must have this certificate, and you must be this person.
Life
and
is experience. Humans are human by human design.
And I'm going to say it, I wasn't qualified at the time of doing this. I wasn't. And whether you think that's right or wrong, in this spiritual world, you go out to the fucking Himalayas and do fucking some healing session with a fucking monk or an old Indian elder. Do you think they have a piece of paper that fucking gives them that? No, they don't.
100%.
They have experience, is what they have.
But you were in school, like you were just.
Everything I did was right.
Right,
like
by the book, we were told it was okay to do. We had all this. We had it all clear by the school they was in. We were 4 weeks off. From
I was just about to get qualified. I was in the process of getting my certificate.
This is an 8 or 9 month course. So you're 4 weeks off getting your certificate.
Yeah.
And I just want to clarify here is that we had 15 other qualified breathworkers
at this event. So this event was crazy in this world that I'd created, and I was so proud of. And everyone there is filming, and there's fucking Instagram's gone bananas. Like, we're on stage, we're doing these 6-hour events, and people were tagged, people that I looked up to, people the reason I got into this world for, people that I looked up to as God. I was dressing like them, I was talking like them, I was like so inspired and motivated by them.
And the crazy thing here is that one of the things that they had said that, we'd both been to the event. I'd never been to the event. I did not look up to these people. I did think that they were good at what they did, but I didn't even follow them. I'm not a person like that. I am my own leader.
It was my thing, and I dragged you along.
And I got dragged. My name got dragged through the mud through this, and it was crazy.
So basically, what happened was they messaged me that night. So proudest moment of my life. Actually, we got messages from multiple friends saying, "Hey, these people are talking about you."
So the first one was we got back to
the
our
hotel room.
hotel.
I was standing in the bathroom and I said, "Proudest moment of my life."
He was
then
literally
boom.
in tears. He was literally in tears. Proudest moment of his life, and I had this sick gut feeling. And you looked at me and you said, "What's wrong?" And I said what I said. I got out of the shower. I put my towel around. I'm a highly intuitive person. And I had a message from someone saying, "Holy fuck."
Well, we ended up with like several messages.
Hang on. I had a message from someone who said, "Holy fuck, have you seen this?"
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me screenshots and they were like, "This is pure jealousy." And I was just blown away that two people that are in this world who are meant to be the most top of the range, best at what they did, working with the most key people, was stripping us down on social media.
Running me down.
And at that moment, I was like, you two are not in this for the right reason. Because if you genuinely cared, because I generally care about human beings, I could never do that to anyone. And if they genuinely cared, they would have got in contact with you directly, but they plastered things.
They told me to do my certification as well.
This person
and
told you the school
I did everything they asked me to do, and now
you did everything they told you to do.
Apparently, I did say I was like a friend I was friends with at the time, closely too, grew up with them and close friends with them. So I'm like, we're all friends, we're all homies, like whatever. And then
you really did look up to them.
Yeah, all of them. Everyone in that thing. And
Yeah.
I was like just trying to find me and do my thing. And then I get this message saying like, we're going to sue you and you're copying us in our IP. And I'm like, whoa, no, this is not.
Can I just confirm,
this is not what I want to be.
We actually dance the fucking wiggles at our shows.
Oh man,
so unless you're dancing to the fucking wiggles,
what we do is,
I doubt it.
Apparently there was a breathwork technique that was copied word for word, which wasn't. I was inspired by it and I did my own sort of breathwork technique and added different parts. And I didn't know that just doing breathwork could be copied. Like I was like,
and
okay.
I would just like to say
I was doing breath holds and breathing.
100%. And I'd just like to say that if anyone out there wants to copy any of my breathing techniques, I want you to do that. Please
anything that I do on stage or in my online program, if you like it, please do it. And this is the reason why.
This is important because we are here to inspire you guys because my main goal in life is to see the world emotionally pain-free. So if there's stuff that we're doing that you love, please use it at your events, use it with your clients, use it however you want, because that is what we're all about. That is where there's true integrity, true authentic.
That's right.
I want you guys to share this work because that is powerful.
We send so many people to do breathwork training.
100%.
And we
send it to our friend
I'm going to do a shout out right now. Johannes from Breathless Expeditions, an amazing man. We've done breathwork training there, along with other places, but we send everyone there. It's a 5-day retreat out in the Snowy Mountains.
He is amazing. He is extremely knowledgeable.
He's a knowledgeable, cool, down to earth guy who gets it.
He just gets life.
He's just amazing with cold therapy and
he's definitely one of the best people in the world for breathwork and training and facilitation. So if you want to get qualified, contact Johannes.
Breathwork.
Let them know you came from us. Love.
So that week was a whole week of being slandered and smashed online with stuff that wasn't even true. Like you said, you didn't go to any of the events. They said multiple events. I only went to one. They were saying things that we'd done or said or were involved in, which wasn't true. Then they contacted my school.
Then they contacted.
And this was like, then now I'm like, they want my blood. And I'm like, my little boy inside was like, I wanted to stop breathwork. I was like, no, I'm not in this for this. Like, I'm not a competition. I'm out there following my dream, my passion. And these people are seeing me as like, I'm trying to either copy them or beat them. At this point, I still looked up at them. Like 100%. I was like, you guys are doing awesome.
And one of the things they said was, we had to work 10 years to get to where we were, and they come in just like that. I
didn't mean to come in just like that. I just come in just like that.
Yeah,
but I wasn't like I'm gonna fucking do this better or bigger. I was just.
They weren't even in our mind. They weren't even in our
I didn't even want to do these big events because your marketing went crazy, and I was like, turned the marketing off, and it was all just like it all just
happened.
happened so fast.
It just happened so fast.
And like I was just trying to do the right thing. And then,
what do they say? Like when you're at your top, there was a speech when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and I listened to it the other day, and they said, when you're at your top, expect the devil to come.
Oh yeah, that was Denzel Washington.
Yeah, Denzel Washington.
When you hit the top, know that the devil's coming.
Yeah, and that was. I'm not joking. It was literally like you looked at me and said, "This is the proudest moment of my life."
And then half an hour later, worst
10 minutes, worst storm to come.
I'm going to tell you this: about 3 months before this, or a couple of months before this, I was in the shower, and I was sort of plateauing. Like I had all this breathwork stuff going on. I was still working on the minds, but I was sort of like, I wanted more out of life, and I'm like, God, universe, give me a fucking lesson. And this was the biggest lesson of my life. This fucked me up for about 6 months to a year.
A year.
And heavily that, but then other things. Yeah. But for me, I'm so cold now with people. I actually fucking we're in Bali the other day, and our friend's like, you got to meet this breathworker. I said, not interested. Yeah. And now I'm closing myself off to opportunity because of trauma and fear, which these people done to us. They went hams on us for a week or so, posting our logos, photos. Yeah. We captured it all, and I didn't reply to nothing. Yeah, I replied to absolutely nothing and sat quiet.
And do you know what the funny thing is? Like at this time, we have people saying, like messaging our friends of our friends and saying, "Fuck, do these guys know what's going on? Do you know what's being said?"
Well, I didn't really know what to say because I'm like, I still were watching these people, and then they blocked us, and like I didn't even get a chance to reply, and I didn't know how to contact them.
And this is another thing. They sent a big long message that night,
and then blocked me,
and then blocked him. And this is another thing, like. If they were sincere, like it's just crazy for me. Like this is pure jealousy. This is pure insecurity, and it's
which they said on their socials that it clearly wasn't. And then the worst thing about this,
people don't.
I'll tell you this, right?
Like this without having insecurity.
Exactly. The worst thing about this is whether or not they're jealous or not, or they care about the work or the people, or if I was doing something wrong or blew up too fast, they could have reached out and said, "Hey, Beau, I know you look up to us, blah blah." I know one of them sent me like this big long message, and then.
You try to respond to?
I try to respond to say like, hey, and literally one of the things was like, I'll stop doing breath work until I'm qualified, or can you give me advice? I'll do this game totally different. I'll go back to smaller events. Yeah. Like I was
you were open.
I was like I wasn't like fighting back.
No.
And then but then I got blocked and there was no conversation. They contacted my school. My school reached out to me, why are you doing these events? Blah blah. The principal of the school, I felt like this little boy again, was fucking yelling at me. Who do you think you are?
And can I just say something on that school? Like, the funny thing is like in the messages, which I still have, said, they're not qualified, all this kind of stuff. They've never done any education.
And he's like, what trauma qualifications do you have? I'm like, well, what trauma what are we supposed to have? I'll do them. Like, what do you want me to do? I'll do the. I was like folding to people, 100%. And you're coming in like, bro, stand the fuck up and be the fucking man that you are. Like in the bikie world or those sort of people, you would be fucking punching these people out or telling these guys. And in this world, I'm like folding because I'm like, okay, this world's not like that. We don't do violence. We don't do anger. We
do love.
We do love and communication. So I'm trying to do all that, and I'm getting hammered by people I looked up to. I was getting smashed by the school, the director of this company.
But the school that you were told to go to by the two people you looked up to,
and they all
who gave you the contact details, who then plastered on social media saying that you had no education and all that kind of stuff, but then yet went to your school and complained, correct?
And I'm like, I didn't know what
social media
I don't know what people wanted from me at this time. Like I was just like, I've done shit things in my life, and I haven't always got it right, and I've made mistakes, and I'm a fucking human being. But I'm just shattered, like so shattered at this point. And then I'm like what? Where do I fucking go from here, right? Like and then.
Let's just talk about that for a second. So when you're getting slammed by your school, and so I was listening outside the door, and Beau comes out, and he was a shell of himself.
Oh man,
and
I was like,
he's getting slammed from all over the place, social media, people that he looked up to,
and then all my friends. Let me just tell you, at this point, all my friends that didn't understand breathwork had fucked me off as well. At this point, they're like, this year I've gone weird. Like I'm fucking doing this breathwork thing.
Lonely,
so I've lost all those
isolated.
friends. Yep, I jumped the fence.
You expected
then all these
love
people,
and support.
Yep, all these people turned on me. My school that I reached out and paid $10,000 to me turned their back on me.
And then you came out from that room.
At this point, can I just say, at this point, I was actually flying my mentors around. So we had mentors in this group. I was paying for their flights, flying them around to help me do the right thing.
And can I just say again, mentors from his school.
From my school.
Yep.
That I paid money for to go to.
$10,000. His mentor was there facilitating, helping.
In front of me. So I'm doing all that. But, like,
that works for the school.
That's right. And so I'm doing.
And can I just say this on that? No one had a fucking backbone. I could not believe it. As your partner sitting there, the mentor didn't stand up and say, hey, no, like I was there. I was helping out the
Everyone
event.
turned their back on me.
Everyone turned their back
Every
on
single person.
That
and then
school, the way they spoke to you.
My friends that I thought were my friends that were friends with these other people as well, they started to share shit and slander me as well. And then there was all these things going around that weren't true about me. That I'm not going to get into them because they weren't true.
Just started
and like messages, they're sharing messages from people inboxing him saying, hey, he's a real bad guy. He hangs out with bikies. He's violent. He's this and that. And I'm like, what does this have to do with me doing breathwork and stuff? So like there was some other shit shared.
Violent.
There's like people telling me about that I'm on drugs.
You're not like that at all. You're not violent.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's like all this shit is happening, and I'm like, feel like I let my family down, myself down, all my people down, and there was a lot of people sticking up for us. I will say that, and I appreciate you people. Yeah. And now I tell you who I am now. When we go through shit, and there are people who have, turn their back on us at those times. There's been a lot of people that see where we are now and they're like, hey, how are you guys? No.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people
no.
and say,
you can
hey, I'm
fucking
sorry.
Suck.
And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
A bag of dicks.
Out. Yeah.
You're
sheep. And we don't deal with sheep.
No. And I'm like, you know what? The people that stood by me, my friends, I expect my friends to stand by me, but people in the breathwork industry or whatever the fucking industry.
I had friends turn their back on me and delete me and block me. And for me, I got thrown into a world that wasn't even my world to be in. I was supporting my partner, and to have my name go through mud when I really was just a byproduct. I'll say this once again,
I took all that. I made mistakes through that. I've made mistakes. I've hurt people. I've done things. We're all learning, and I'm not perfect, but I am finally feel like I'm getting it right. And I'm like, this is like crazy because, like I said, I jumped this fence, and then I didn't know where I belonged. I couldn't go back there. I didn't know where to go, but it helped me find out who I started being myself. So when I stood on stage, I was like, we're all going to do this fuck you exercise. I put on AC/DC, Thunderstruck, and I was like, I want you to stand up tall. And this is to anyone who's ever hurt you, anyone who's disrespected you, anything that never went through right for you in your life, fuck you. And I've got like 100 people. Yeah. This is the breathwork event saying, fuck you, I'm powerful. Yeah. Fuck you, I'm brave. People are crying. Yeah. People are fucking like, fuck you, I'm amazing. Fuck you, I'm kick-ass.
We literally created an event of all the things that we needed when we were going through our stuff, and that is why we are so good at doing what we're doing, because every single thing that we have created, developed, put into our life is come from a direct result of things that happened and we've needed.
As I don't call myself a breath worker.
No.
I fucking hate it, never have, because of all that trauma, and I don't want to be involved with anyone in that world, and that's why we went more into business. So we're more like...
No, we just went into us.
Well, we went into us.
We went into us, and we use breathwork for business.
We want to help other people, whether it's breath workers trying to get up, whether it's hairdressers, whether it's mechanics, construction workers, investment, realtors. I just want to help other people win.
100%.
I want to see other people win. That's my fucking goal.
Yes, Beau, and I love that about you. We use breathwork to propel. We use breathwork as a tool to level people up.
And it should be in every fucking aspect. Like you said, when we have like an office and we have a bunch of our workers, we have our online virtual team that help in the back end. We did breath work with them the other morning. 100%. Let's manifest our week. Let's set our week up for success. Yeah. Let's bring in creativity. We do breath work ourselves. We do a breath work with Harvey to get to sleep. It's a fucking tool.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't consider myself a breath worker. I don't like being called a breath work coach or a healer or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just here to transmute energy and help the world become more successful, more happy.
Yeah. Emotionally pain-free and living a life on their own terms.
And one thing I'd say that we do that no one does is we make people dance to the wiggles, as you said before. And I want to explain that. So we've done events now around Australia, a few world tours, fucking a lot for the last nearly 3 years.
We've worked with over 10,000 people,
Yep.
might be close to
And
12,
we
13,000 now.
constantly, every single event we do, we completely change it.
Yeah.
We come in, when we went to Melbourne to Sydney 2 weeks later, we've completely rewritten
We bring cookies.
we got handmade cookies
Yeah.
now. We've got like fucking hamper packs of people that join our online program. Like it's amazing. But the structure is what I'm talking about, how different the structure is. Now, I do freedom of movement. It's really cool. I do it before the breakthrough breathwork at the end of the day. And what I was finding was when we do freedom movement, we put up a song like DMX or, fucking Let's Dance, like Lady Gaga, something modern, right? And we get the whole room moving. People are laughing. People are like, and then the room energy changes. When everyone goes to get food after that, people are laughing, talking, more involved. And I'm like, that needs to be done at the start. So we got the most stupidest, hardest, craziest fucking exercise song, which was the Wiggles.
Back to your childhood.
We bring you back to your childhood. Everyone on their feet. We're going to do an icebreaker.
Yeah.
I do this, right? Who here in the room is nervous and anxious? Whole room, not one person.
Yeah.
Everyone, right? Even us. We're feeling a bit anxious every time we do an event.
It's uncomfortable.
Nervous.
New place.
Yep. Hands are in the air. All right, everyone on their feet. Icebreaker. The Wiggles, hot potato, the whole fucking room.
They got to do the actions.
And I'd say to people, if you're not moving, I'll bring you up on stage. So
everyone's fucking moving. Like,
everyone's moving.
Stage.
Everyone's laughing. Everyone's like, this is ridiculous. This is silly. All right, take a few deep breaths. Get all that energy out. Now sit down. Who here is still anxious? Not a fucking hand in the room. It works. It's a great icebreaker. Use it. Use it for your business events. Use it for speaking gigs, anything. And it gives you that sense of like calmness and connecting with the group as well.
And you're feeling good too. You're feeling
because we do it as well.
Yeah, we're laughing. We're cracking up
mashed
laughing.
banana. And then we're all like, you feel the whole tension in the room leaves. And 100%. Then you feel ready to continue on that day. And like I said to our business coaches, use 10 breaths in between each hour of speaking online or in events or anything because it fucking works.
Yeah.
So we've got all these signature things that we do now and we've moved into more of who we are because of those experiences.
Yeah. And those experiences, and I'll just say this right now, we don't regret what happened. You know,
I don't hate either.
I can also say I've got my lawyer on speed dial because we let their lawyers handle that kind of stuff.
We've got some of the best lawyers.
we've got a team of people now, and I don't
for
deal
defamation
with
or anything. So if anyone ever says anything online or like through text message or anything like that,
we just let our lawyers do it.
We just get our lawyers to sort it out now. So that's been a lesson for us. We don't hit back. We don't try and kill them with kindness.
I don't care.
We don't try and threaten them.
At the end of the day, you guys look silly because you're the ones going out there saying the things.
Psychological projection.
And psychological projection. And they know that because they've worked in this field. So that's the craziest thing. But
especially around trauma as well.
100%. And you know what? And the crazy thing is that these people actually really traumatically hurt you, and that's the sad thing here.
And I don't know if they know that.
And that was a year of he went downhill.
My mental health,
his mental health, his anxiety.
I had trust issues. I still have trust issues now.
You were in the doctor, in the hospital multiple times. You had vertigo, dizziness, couldn't get out of bed, and this went on for over a year. And the saddest thing is that I had to watch my partner go downhill, and that is the reason, though, why I got involved in the business. And I also
done your breathwork training.
I did my breathwork training, which is not saying that I wanted to do.
And that's why our business is what it is now.
And so I have to thank those people because we would not be as successful as we are now.
Right now.
If it hadn't have been for that, because I had to step up. And I moved into this and I had to go and learn things that I didn't know before. And I went and became qualified and then I took over the business structure. I thank them.
And how much did our business and events evolve? You put systems in.
Absolutely.
I had all these followers, didn't know how to monetize them. I had all this stuff and you 100%. Bring all the smartsy stuff.
But, and this is why I want everyone to know. Shitty things happen to great people all the time. Shitty things happen to great people all the time.
And good things happen to shitty people too.
That's it. And that's exactly right. And what you do with that is up to you. Karma will always come back. I've always said, you're not going to get me speaking up about this. I don't need you to know our side of the story. I didn't need that, you know. But I always knew that karma would have its thing. And I also knew the universe.
It's not even karma. It's just.
It is karma. Everyone has karma. And universe.
Good and bad,
the universe will always have my back. And, and it was
lessons.
The best thing that ever happened for us because, like I said, we are the most successful versions of ourselves now. It helped our bank account. It helped us as human beings grow. It made me go and get business coaches. I did self-development. I spent last year alone over $60,000 on self-development.
And courses.
Courses, therapy, breakthrough breathwork, business coaches, marketing
books.
Coaches, books, all the things. So because of that. And I just want you guys to know that for us personally, if you see anything that you love that we do, use it.
Yeah.
Because
or reach out. We'll help you.
We want you to win.
If you're doing an event and you want help, we'll help you with the event.
That's exactly right. But we want you to use our stuff. And if you think that something resonates with you and that you can help people, because at the end of the day, my main mission in life, and I'll say over and over again, is to see the world emotionally pain-free. And if I'm helping you do that, then my job here is done.
That's
and I'm part of the solution of helping human beings. So please reach out. Please help. Like if you see our stuff,
we'll share your stuff. We fucking love networking, love
100%.
collaborating. It's our favorite thing.
And that is what we're about. There is no competition with us. We don't see anyone as competition. We want us all to win. Different. And there is also a table at the top for us all. And we want to be a part of that for you. So,
right. And I just want to end on that. I have no hate or remorse for anyone. I still think all the people that have called us out do great things, and they're doing great things, and they're very knowledgeable, and they bring stuff to the table. You know,
they just let their emotions run that day.
I would have loved to have sat down and had an amicable, conversation about all this. It never happened. Was it needed? Does it really needed? I don't know. Probably not. But, we are who we are, and they are who they are. And anyone who decides to follow them or us, we don't give a fuck. We just want everyone to win. Yeah. And that's it.
We just want to see the world emotionally pain-free, and that's it.
That's it. And we just want everyone to win. So
100%.
What an episode.
What an episode, Beau.
That was cool to talk about that finally.
Yep.
It feels actually really good. I feel like I did my own healing through that. Got a bit emotional there, but
awesome. You're allowed to.
I just and on what Kirsty said, I really loved what you added to their end. And, I hope a lot of people feel like, when you're getting slandered by other hairdressers or other footy people or something's going on in your life, man, it happens, and just take a deep breath and just continue on your journey and just, be yourself.
Don't give up. Don't give up, because it would have been very easy for Beau, especially at that time.
Well, if I didn't have you, I probably would have.
Yeah.
I would have folded and I wanted to. I wanted to just do what everyone wanted me to do.
You wanted to.
I wanted to fold and be like, okay, this is what you have to do in this world. But, and parts of me, I just...
You wanted to be accepted and loved. That's
of course. But parts of me went I just want to go back to the world I used to live in, because people accept you for just who you are and being a piece of shit and a fucking... And
it was okay.
Running around.
There's no need to level up and stuff like that, and
you just drink and you party and you fucking run amok and then that's it. Yeah. But there's issues in that world too. Yeah. Let me tell you, it's not all fucking gravy, and that's the key thing, right? It doesn't matter which world you choose to go on. There's going to be issues, so go on the path that's directed for you, and don't do what I did and try and follow other people's path. Be inspired by everyone and create your own path. And I found that in a book I read. Yeah. Don't try and follow the paths of other people that have got it right. Pave your own and learn your own lessons.
Take some education, take some skills, and then create your own path. But and don't give up, because you know what, you are, the more successful you get in life, the more hate that can come your way and pull you down, and you get love as well. But you've got to be stronger than that, and that's why 100%. Building your resilience cup, building your mindset, I talk about all the time, and we work heavily in our program, We Breathe Success. 90% of what we do is working on our mindset to be able to navigate these days. Because if you don't understand that, if you cannot control that, you can't get the fuck out of your head and out of your emotions, your business will fail. Your marriage will fail. Your relationship will fail. But if you can control that mindset, if you can regulate that nervous system, if you can sit in confidence and clarity, belief, and understanding exactly what's going on with you and actually take back control, you can literally control anything in your life, and you will be successful.
And you've got to have compassion too for people. I just want to say this. We found out not long ago that they were going through, the people that slandered us and said some stuff, they were going through some hard shit, we found out.
Yeah.
Some very hard shit. And
it made sense.
And I'm not going to go into that because that's their business, but they went through something really, really hard around that time. And, and now I look back and I felt sorry, and I was like, fuck, it makes me emotional, because I'm like, they're going through their pain as well.
Yeah.
And we all are. And that's what I mean when someone says something or hurts you, if we can just be compassionate back and be like, well, what are they going through?
Yeah, it's always projection as well.
People don't want to hurt people, and people are just trying to get through their life, and they've been through their trauma and their stuff. So that's all I wanted to say. But also stand your fucking ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't let people treat you like shit. And
you can do whatever the fuck you want in life.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
You don't have to
so
be
saying
dictated.
that, I'm compassionate, but also fucking stand on your own 2 feet, and don't fold. I folded. I did. I folded my cards and I wanted to be accepted. Fuck that. Like, but I'm also this stronger person now. And if you,
you had to
now
go
I'm
through
like,
that.
now I'm like, I see comments and stuff and I'm like, fuck you, I'm me.
Yeah.
And go be your fucking self. Like you said
100%.
the other day, that person, someone else goes, oh, do you have to swear so much? Yeah, I fucking do.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I fucking do. I was like,
if you don't like me,
have a good
hit
fucking
the
day.
fucking block button.
You know?
You fucking
and that's the thing. Like, you know, stand your fucking ground. Know who you are.
Know who you are.
What you stand for.
Know
and
what you
fucking
stand
go and
for.
do it, because there is going to be people that are going to want to tear you down.
We
all
are
the fucking
totally
time.
different people that have been through
100%.
totally different life experience.
And no one is here to dictate your fucking life,
That's right.
your income,
But you.
your success, your career choices, the people you choose to hang around with, but fucking you.
Get out of your own way.
Get the fuck out of your own way. Awesome. Love.
Thanks for joining us on another podcast. This is probably one of the most ones we've spoken about for a long time. Really glad we got to all of that. So if you want to join us, come and join our We Breathe Success program, where we will get you success and happy and fucking killing it at life, no matter what that looks like for you. It's a one size fits all. So thank you again for another episode of Spill the Tea with Beau and Kirsty. That's right, not Kirsty and Beau.
Love it.
Let's go.
right.
Have a beautiful
Bye.
week.